Coming to you from the Spit Studios in Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada, this is the Spit Sports Show. How is everybody doing out there today? Now, goodness gracious me, I thought I was done with talking about the Vancouver Canucks until about September hits. Mid-September is about when we start to get into preseason hockey predictions, what we think every team is going to do, who's going to win the individual awards, all of that stuff. But I made a video a couple of weeks ago about how I was disappointed in the Canucks' early offseason moves. I thought what they did was, to be quite frank, extremely underwhelming considering the cap position they had coming into this offseason and the players that they let go who had large cap hits, who I thought would be able to free up some money so that they could acquire a marquee free agent who would be able to put them over the top. Because the Canucks coming into this offseason had very strict expectations. Go from a fringe cup contender to a genuine bona fide cup contender. And I didn't think they did a very good job of that. But as we've gone through the desert of summer sports, summer hockey, and the offseason, some of this free agency dust has settled, and we're starting to really see these rosters shape into form. And the Canucks made a bunch of, well, not a bunch, but a few little big moves that, to be honest with you, I was super impressed with. The first one being Artur Silovs, pardon me, who signed for 2 years, 850,000 AAV, which by any accounts is a fantastic deal for a goalie who early on in his career got incredible playoff experience against some of the best teams in the league. And for him, his confidence coming into this offseason has to be at an all-time high. And confidence for a goalie is everything because goalies are a lot like golfers or kickers in the NFL. It's a lot to do with rhythm. It has a lot to do with your confidence, your mentality, and basically how you're playing at any particular time. And right now, Silovs has all the momentum in the world. So getting him on a cheap two-way deal to where he'll be the backup for Demko for the immediate future with the Smith leaving, it is the ideal scenario for the Canucks. So I was super impressed with what they were able to do there. I thought Silov's agent was probably the biggest loser of that deal. I don't know how he didn't get more for a goalie who played that well against the top offense in the NHL in Edmonton and against a really good Nashville team when Demko went down. And then just 4 days later, the Canucks announced the signing of Daniel Sprong. Now, Daniel Sprong is a legend in his own right, legend for the Penguins, winning a Stanley Cup in his rookie year and scoring some clutch goals against my Washington Capitals, which I still remember to this day. But in terms of what he is nowadays, he is a depth scoring winger. The guy loves to shoot the puck. He's not a top six winger by talent necessarily because 40 points a year typically doesn't exactly strike you as a bona fide top six winger, but he definitely is the prototype for it. And what I mean by that is the third and fourth lines typically in hockey are for, your grit grinder lines, the guys who are just going to get the puck in deep, workhorse it around and try to get the other team's top line out of rhythm. Whereas Daniel Sprong doesn't really fit that mold as much as he fits a top six role, which looks like what he's going to slot into for the Vancouver Canucks because their third line winger set is already set in stone with Joshua and Garland. And the beauty of that being so set in stone is that third line winger pair really does play like a second line winger pair. So you put Sprong on the second line where he'll be hopefully elevated by the talent of Jake DeBrusk and Elias Pettersson, who will be easily the best line mates he's ever played with in his entire career. It could give Daniel Sprong the confidence boost and just simply the opportunity boost that he's been missing for his entire career. Remember, he's only 27 years old. And like I mentioned before, he has a blistering shot. He just hasn't really been put in the right situations to use it in the past. He will have every opportunity to do that in Vancouver. Now, We don't know what he looks like playing with talent like this. We don't really know what he looks like playing in the top 6, but it's hard not to expect that a guy like this with seemingly very, very solid high-end offensive talent wouldn't extend his play and become even better than he has been in years past, where he's scored almost a half point a game. Now, I am super excited about the Canucks forward core. Like from lines 1 to 3, it might be the best in hockey. Miller, Besser on the first line, and you have Pettersson, DeBrusk, Sprong, as I just mentioned, and then third line with Garland and Joshua and Bluger. It's looking like it's going to be a very good year for the Canucks offensively. But my issue is, as disgusting and terrifying as the forward core looks, the defense looks just as terrifying, but in the other way. Now, listen, the top pairing is very good. Hughes and Hronek work. Just flatly, they do. I think Hronek definitely had a rough end to last year, and to be honest, I didn't really love what I saw in the playoffs. But Quinn Hughes is obviously the cornerstone of the franchise, and Hronek is undoubtedly a top 2 talent. So those two, right-handed and left-hand shot, it just works. However, below that, just 4 roster spots. Third D pairing 1, third D pairing 2, second D pairing 1, second D pairing 2. I think those 4 roster spots could cost the Canucks a legitimate Stanley Cup opportunity. Because let's just go through it player by player. So your top 4, your second pairing defenseman has Carson Soucy on it. Now listen, I think Carson Soucy is a good defensive defenseman. I think he struggles a bit with his puck movement and his agility. I think he's really good on the penalty kill. I think he's solid in the corners. I think he doesn't take anything from anybody. Good playoff performer, solid shot from the blue line, seems to know how to get it through. But his weaknesses are movement, skating, puck movement, passing, which are the exact same issues that his deep partner, Tyler Myers, has. Tyler Myers is just a worse version of Carson Soucy at all of these things. He is a bad puck mover. He is not a good skater. He's bad at defending the rush. When you pair defensemen together, you want to 2 players that offset each other's weaknesses. If you have a good puck mover, you want a physical defenseman with them, and vice versa. The Canucks just have 2 non-puck moving guys as their top 4 pairing, and it was so obvious even last year that they needed someone else who could skate the puck a bit from the back end, because there were so many times, especially against the Oilers and the Predators, and this happens all the time in the playoffs, where the ice just flips for a while. You know, the other team will have 10 consecutive minutes where it seems like they just have the puck in the offensive zone, and the other team has no choice but to ice it and dump it out. And then the process continues again. So what do you need to break that cycle? You need a defenseman who can get possession by himself, take a second, make a play, make a crisp pass, and you're on the breakout, and hopefully you can flip the ice in the other direction. The Canucks really struggled with that in the playoffs last year. Besides their top 2 pairings, Zadorov obviously had an incredible playoffs, but he struggled with the puck movement as well. So when the Oilers would really get momentum and start the pressure, it was really difficult to impossible to stop, because the back end just couldn't make consistent, smart breakout decisions or create breakout opportunities. And that's a problem, especially when your bottom 2 pairing as well, you don't have a reliable puck movers down there either. Both of them are the same prototype as your top 4 defensemen pairing are. Vinny Desharnais and Derek Forbert are 6'7" and 6'4" apiece. They're basically just, again, lesser versions of Carson Soucy and Tyler Myers, shot blocking, penalty killing, hard-nosed defensemen, which, again, I have nothing against, especially come playoff time. But there needs to be a balance. And it seems like the way the Canucks have built this defensive core is basically just so no shots get through, physical in the corners, cycles are going to be hard to do against this Canucks defensive core, no doubt about it. But I really worry about their puck movement and their skating. And it just seems like this wasn't thought all the way through in terms of building the back end of the decor. Now, maybe Thatcher Demko is just that good. And just protecting him and keeping as much shots off of him as possible is going to be enough for the Canucks to allow, the 3 or less goals that it's going to take for them to win a Stanley Cup. But it's concerning because I think the puck is going to be in their zone a lot for long stretches. And that's concerning. I think the Canucks forward core is obviously good enough to win a Stanley Cup. I think it might be the best in hockey. It's definitely up there. But the way their decor has been built, the archetypes, the prototypes, the type of bodies that they have brought in to fill out that bottom 4, I think it's going to be the Achilles heel of this Canucks team going into the 2024-25 season. And I'm a little scared because I think this is the Canucks' best chance to win a cup in years. And I think it has a pretty glaring weakness on the roster. Anyways, please let me know what you guys think. What do you guys think the Canucks are going to do this year? What are realistic expectations for them in the playoffs, in the regular season, all of that? Are you guys concerned at all about the Canucks decor? Please let me know in the comments below. I'm small enough as to where I can read all comments and love doing so. So please drop something down there. Please leave a like on the video if you enjoyed what you heard. Please subscribe. Spit Sports Show just hit over 350 subscribers. And as always, I will see you in the next one. Cruise up.